You are listening to The Vent, a safe place for all of us. Yes, this is indeed The Vent, a safe place for all of us. Episode 2. Thanks for coming back. I'm sure a lot of you are still not entirely sure what this is supposed to be, and that's okay. To be honest, I'm not 100% sure myself what this is supposed to be. I named it The Vent because, well, the idea is it's supposed to be this nice, empty vacuum where we can just talk about the problems of the world, whether personal or bigger picture. I figured all of us need a place to talk things out or just rant or vent, but we also don't want to go through the shame of having to go through a therapist, either because we are embarrassed to talk about them or because we don't have the money to afford a therapist. Whatever the reason, that's what this is supposed to be for. The hardest part about growing up for me has been figuring out who I am, and I don't really mean in the sense of figuring out what I want to do for a career or jobs or really even social life, anything like that. It was about finding out the kind of person I am. You know, what I like, what I dislike, what I believe in, what I don't believe in, how I treat people, how I behave, how I conduct myself in any given situation, that sort of thing. And over the last few months, I've really started to figure out who I am. You see, I'm what people call an introvert. That basically means I like to keep to myself a lot. I don't like to express myself to other people. I like to keep a private space. I like to keep to myself and have alone time and just not be with people. And I'm realizing that I've always been this way. I've never felt a strong urge to interact with people. I've never felt a strong urge or an urgency to make friends just to appease my parents who kept bugging me about it. I've never really wanted to do that. I've never wanted to be that kind of person. Which is funny because if you know me, you know that when I get comfortable with people, I'm a totally different person. I am very expressive. I'm outward with people. I'm not afraid to hold back. It's a very interesting contradiction, I guess, into what I am believing myself to be and what I'm turning out to be. I like to be by myself. I like to be introverted. But when I get the chance and I feel comfortable, I'm very expressive. It's hard to understand and even harder to articulate. I've known I've been like this for several years, but I've never really understood it. And in some cases, for some time, I was actually very much ashamed of it. I thought there was something wrong with me. You know, I didn't regret wanting alone time. I didn't regret keeping to myself. It was more like I felt like I was disappointing other people. You know that crippling feeling you get all the time when you do something that goes against what other people want, you feel like you're disappointing them? It was that. Because my mother was always worried about me making friends, or quote-unquote, being alone in this world. And on some level, I'm afraid of this too, because no one deserves to be alone in life. No one deserves to not have anyone in their life that loves them. But at the same time, if I'm not interested in going out and being social, if I'm not interested in going to clubs, going to bars, if I'm not interested in going to parties, then why would I actively seek it out? Why would I put myself in a position where I would be incredibly uncomfortable? And that was always the hardest thing for me. But again, like I said, when I am in a situation where I am relaxed, I am comfortable, I'm expressive as all hell. And I'm proud of that too. I'm very proud of that. It's so weird. It's almost like I'm caught in halfway between being an introvert and being an extrovert. I really can't. I don't know how to explain it. I don't understand why I feel I'm caught in between, because I believe very firmly I am an introvert. I spend a lot of time by myself, and I feel my most relaxed and comfortable when I'm by myself. And yet there are certain exceptions and certain times, sometimes even out of my control, where I feel comfortable with people. It's the weirdest thing. Well, I'm sure there are some of you who will find this file and listen to it who may be in a similar situation that I'm in, where you feel like, you are doing something wrong because you don't want to express yourself out there. Or vice versa. You may feel that you're expressing yourself too much and thus you feel like you're doing something wrong. Well, look, I'm no doctor, I'm no psychologist, I'm no therapist. I'm just an ordinary schmuck on the internet who's putting himself out there in the hopes of getting someone out there to see me. And all I can really say is, whatever you are, don't be ashamed of it. Because really, there's nothing wrong with being an introvert. In fact, my girlfriend is also very introverted. Very introverted. But when the two of us are together and spending time together, we're very expressive. We're not afraid to hold anything back. We put ourselves out there and we feel comfortable. That's just the way we are. And there's really nothing to be ashamed of. There's nothing wrong with you, per se. Well, okay, let me backtrack. I'm not going to say there's nothing wrong with you, because that implies a whole slew of explanations that I may be wrong about. My point, though, is that just because you think one way and other people think another way doesn't mean you're bad. Just because you're introverted doesn't mean you're a bad person. Just because you're extroverted doesn't mean you're a bad person. You are who you are. And as long as you accept that, as long as you figure out who you are, what you are, and as long as you come to terms with it, it can't hurt you. For the longest time, I was embarrassed about who I am. I didn't understand who I was. I thought I was doing something wrong, but I'm not. I finally understand that I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just a little bit different. And that's okay. And now that I understand that I'm just different and that there's nothing wrong with that, I'm much more confident than ever that I can go out into the world and lead a very happy and very successful life. And you can too. No matter what you think of yourself, no matter how down or bad you feel about yourself, you can go out there and you can live a perfectly fine, perfectly healthy, and perfectly successful life. You have it in you to do it. So just stop beating yourself up. In fact, that's the best advice I can give to anyone who listens to this. Stop beating yourself up. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't accomplish anything. If I had known that years and years ago, I wouldn't have spent so much time feeling sorry for myself, that's for sure. And that's pretty much all I have to say about this subject. So I finally decided on a release schedule. It's going to be weekly episodes, preferably posted every Sunday. Episode lengths will vary. It won't always be the 20 minutes from last week's episode or the 10 minutes of this week's episode, but it will be every Sunday and it'll be on different topics every week. I may even revisit some topics sometimes if I'm feeling in the mood. So we'll see where this goes.